Hello and welcome again to Farmbook. Okay, Max, this is our series with Loskop ICT. A bit of feedback from their farmers, what they've been seeing results-wise and so forth. We're talking to Shane Davies. He's going to give us just a little bit of information about what his experience was thus far and so forth. So let's listen. Shane, how are you doing?
Very well, thanks, man.
No, good, thanks. Okay, give me a little bit of background about yourself, your farm, what do you farm with and so forth?
So we just Max in the Skagen area, and we've got a commercial nursery as well, and predominantly Beaumont variety, with a couple of other varieties purely for our commercial nursery purposes.
Tell me a little bit more about, because one of the other farms that we visited had another cultivar that really struggles in this area. 788 I think was the one. So Beaumont, why specifically did you guys decide on that variety?
Well, initially when we started, my dad was one of the pioneers in this area, planting. So when he started on his farms, it was Beaumont. That's all that was available in those days. And then later we've branched out to other varieties. We've seen that Nelmac 2s do pretty well in this area, and then naturally your 816s and A4s, which are newer varieties.
And these trees behind you, what year are they in now?
So these are 9-year-olds, and they are planted 5 by 5. We did a bit of an experiment here to prune quite excessively from year 6.
Yeah.
And we found that it's working. The Beaumont enjoys being heavily pruned, and we're getting the results from it. So far so good.
Because that's what I'm going to ask you is that do you think it's cultivar specific? Because I'm more of a pecanut guy.
Yeah.
And the guys have started doing this as well, and I was like, geez, you're taking a big risk, because you're saying, okay, we know a 10 by 10 works. Now I'm going and saying, okay, I'm going to do a 5 by 5, but you only know if it works in like 10 or 15 years time.
Yeah, so fortunately, having moved, on the second farm, we had already seen that the Beaumont variety does well to rigorous pruning. So it was a case of, we had done quite a bit of the homework already before we came in here and planted, and I decided that I was going to stick to the 5 by 5. We've always got the option later to take that row in between out.
Yeah.
However, for 9-year-olds that are getting severely pruned at the end of every season, we've seen the results.
And getting back to the results part, because that's what I want to get to. I like that part. I think most people do. So how long have you been with the guys from Loskop?
So we initially started, when we started with them, it was quite late in the season. So you could say 2 years.
Yeah.
Call it 2.5 years. Yeah.
So it's basically going on to your third season,
correct,
more or less now.
Yeah.
And progressively, what was the results in terms of tree health and those type of things? Could you see a visual improvement?
Yeah, I think we all like the bottom line, don't we, as farmers and as businessmen? So
gaan oor geld.
Correct. So on our first, so the first season or half season, let's take that out of the equation and go with something sustainable over an entire year. There we saw a prodigious increase on fruit size. So even though we didn't have much of a volume base that specific year, we found that there was a very big fruit size for Beaumont.
So your fruit quality, if I can put it like that, already you could see a difference there.
Far better than any year that I'd had previously to that. And I mean, our oldest trees are 19 years old on the farms there. And then last year was a huge increase on volume. So when I say a huge increase on volume, we had gone from in the region of about 3.8 tons a hectare to average to well over 5.5 tons per hectare. And average. I'm talking about dry nut and shell. Yeah.
Hell, that's a hell of a yield.
Yeah.
And so what do you contribute that to? What do you think was the differentiator?
Naturally, I think it's got a lot to do with the fertilizer, and I don't want to stick my neck out there and say it's only fertilizer or only the program. I do believe in the consultant that I use, Jaco from ICT. he's helped us out with quite a few farming, what's the word I'm looking for? Farming technology, if you know what I mean. From the get-go, he said, listen, we understand that you've been here and you farmed the farm for a long time and you think you know the soils. We need water. Yes, what
is it like samples or
water probes?
Probes. Moisture probes.
Moisture probes.
Yeah.
So we initiated that, and that went according to soil type, and from there we've moved it out now to every block has its own probe, and we irrigate and go according to that religiously. So there've been spin-offs. That's one of the spin-offs. I mean, I've cut my electricity bill in a big way just from that. And I think we were overwatering. We all know in this industry that we have been overwatering our trees.
But I mean, that's the type of things that I like about if a consultant comes to my farm. I don't want him to be only listening here. Here's your little bit of fertilizer. Okay, cool. You spray then and then cheers.
Correct.
But if they can bring all that value back. So you're saying he's almost like I don't want to call him a prophet type of thing, but he looks at what all the other guys are doing and then brings that knowledge back to you.
Correct. I think that's where we've built the relationship, and at the end of the day, a lot of it is about service and relationship, and he adds value. So over and above what's working in the fields and on the orchards, he's added value extended value to the relationship that we have.
So, in short, to sum it up, you can recommend him to any other farmer that's got Max and that's in this industry.
I have.
You have already?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Awesome. Well, enough said.
Great.
Shane, thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us on the farm.
That's Shane Davies here from Skagen. So if you're interested, button here at the bottom, and then we'll get Jaco to contact you. So if you're in the Mac industry, I think first phone Shane and then you can phone Jaco. He'll tell you all about it. So it's here from Skagen. Till next time. Cheers.